And the worst thing now, and this hasn't been around that long, is fake reviews. Chris, we get fake reviews and they're fake bad reviews, like a 1-star review. And then they'll get a follow up by this company that says, hey, you got a 1-star review. You can pay us to have that removed. And they left the review. So it's
That
like review extortion. Okay.
that's like the old school, auto mechanic shop that digs a hole out or damages the street and there's a big pothole. So you hit the pothole and then you need to replace your tire or something. And they say, oh, well, we can help you out. Or the people who used to, the old school mobsters that throw rocks through the glass windows and then say, oh, well, hey, I happen to have an uncle who owns the glass company in town.
That's exactly what that is. And fake reviews are terrible, and Google's algorithms are not doing enough. That's what's going on with that. So, and if you're an honest business owner, it's not a level playing field. There are many people out there that are paying for reviews, generating fake good reviews. So this is a really hard thing. Welcome to episode 136 of the Weekly Docket, podcast by the Silberman Law Firm, where we talk legal news and practical law. Today is August 20th, 2026. I'm Phil Silberman, owner of the firm and your host, and I'm joined by Chris Heald. He's the firm's managing attorney. Chris, we are not going to answer one legal question on the show today. Does that surprise you?
It does surprise me. I also was sure you were going to introduce me based on my exquisite tennis skills.
Well, yes, the firm's master tennis player, but we are going to talk a little bit about tennis today.
Oh, nice.
Let's talk about we're going to give life advice. I don't know if we're qualified, but we're going to give life advice, specifically advice for kind of attorneys, professionals. But here's what we're going to on our docket today. Here's what's on the docket. We can talk about you can be an average attorney, but you make lots of money if you do these three things, and we're going to tell people what the three things are. You don't know the things, but we'll see if you agree.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I hope I'm in agreement. This could be interesting.
And then we'll talk about reviews, Google reviews, just online reviews, which is always kind of the topic and why they're more important than ever with AI. And then we're going to offer some advice to, aspiring high school people, that might want to be a professional, might want to be a lawyer or a business person, something like that. But all right. So I know that surprises you.
Yeah, let's disclaim now. We are not in any way qualified to make any life decisions for anyone. So this is for entertainment purposes.
Right.
Only.
Okay. So here's the first one. Let's get it kicked off with the first one. I'm proposing you can basically be an average attorney, probably an average anything, but make lots of money if you do these three things. All right. So it's clickbait. It's like the standard social media, like, here, do these three things and lose weight. That is not one. It would just be take a weight loss pill. But anyway, do these three things and we think you can be an average attorney and make lots of money. Number one, call and email people back quickly. This is the number one thing. You have to respond. It causes the most state bar complaints, but people like being called back ASAP. And even if you messed it up and it's bad news, they like being called back quickly. I'm not going to say nothing's worse, but it's not a good situation to be in if a client's been calling you and you've put it off and you call them back like 3, 4, 5 days, weeks later. They're already mad. So you're already in the hole in that case. Attorneys do not do a good enough job doing that. Now, what we're always going to get back is it's just not practical, Phil. I've got, 50 cases. I can't call everybody back as soon as I can or email them back. I know, but the standard that we live in this world today is instant gratification. And if you can figure out a way, you're not going to be perfect, but if you can figure out a way to do that, you're going to have a much easier life as an attorney. So what do you think, Chris? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough. It's, sometimes you get a call and then you don't give them a call back, or you say, oh yeah, I was going to check on that. You wanted to check on something and then give them an update, and then you forget to check on it, and then you don't have an update to give them. And then it's, oh, okay, well, you know they're calling back from the same time last time. But yes, and if we're on top of things, even I'll do you one better, which again, this is like a very high standard. If you're proactively reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, I looked into this and I got back to with what I said I was going to look into," but it's very very hard. We've got so many cases, But yeah, when they call you, try to give them a call back.
That's the most important one. It's actually the easiest one. So surprisingly, no,
The simplest, it can be the easiest. It may be the simplest. It's not.
It's the easiest in the sense that everybody can achieve it with some commitment and discipline. The next two, are sort of, less possible for some people that have personality flaws, right? So here's number two: get your clients to like you. It doesn't matter how great an attorney is. It doesn't matter how great your motion is. If your clients will like you, that's going to go a long, long way. Now, the exception to that, if you win so big, if you're just the biggest jerk in the world and you win your client millions and millions of dollars, and you can almost, yes, you can almost spit in their face, right? But that's not the reality of most of our cases. But get your clients to like you, and make them feel that you really care about their case, right? Can you make them believe? I say make them believe. Maybe you are a really good person, but can you make them believe you're a really good human being? So if your clients don't like you, even if you win, they're not going to be happy. So that's comments on that, Chris. I see you kind of dejected over there.
The internet lives forever, and you're setting this up, and the last one was scary, and this one's scarier. Anything we say is going to live forever, so we got to be careful. Yes, of course, you want your clients to like you, but let's certainly not imply that being liked is more important than doing good work. I do understand. This is something we talk about, and I guess a different take, my take on it would be like, hey, be nice, because then your client will be more forgiving. If you're mean and you screw up, they're going to be a lot less forgiving than if you're nice and you screw up. And it's even better to be nice and to win. If you're mean and you win, I had one client I had not too long ago said, "Well, Chris, see, I'm not going to go into that." Yeah. You should be like.
Look, we're not saying commit malpractice. I mean, let's just be clear about that. We're not saying get your clients to like you and commit malpractice. We're not saying get your clients to like you and commit, rules of professional conduct violations.
Well, I'm not even saying likability is a substitute for good work. Likability should just be in addition to, if you want me to go on a tangent, it's like when I go out to eat, I think the common theme now is servers think that being nice is better than being good. And so they stand there and they talk to me and they chat with me. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I would rather you just, you hustle. I've waited tables. I never talked to anyone. I just hustle. And I was really quick about it. And I would smile at them and make very, very, very short conversations. So I don't, you can't let personality overcome the hard work. The hard work needs to come first.
I had an air conditioned man one time, and he was about the worst air conditioned man in the world. And I paid him to I think install one of my downstairs units, and it worked in the sense that it ran and cooled the house, but it was never right. Something was always going wrong with it, and it just wasn't designed in the most efficient way. It was adequate, to say the least. And he, one time something did go wrong with it, and he just couldn't fix it. And he tried, and he tried, and he tried. I just paid him for it and hired somebody else to come in and fix it. And I harbored this man no ill will because he was such a nice guy. And he was a family man, and he worked hard. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If the AC man, I had this one AC man that was really good, and I'll never forget. His name was Panama Jack, and he was an absolute crook. Like he would charge sales tax when he's not supposed to charge sales tax. He would try to cheat you. I mean, I was so nervous writing the guy a check. I'd have to put, only. I was scared he was gonna, fraudulently alter my check when I wrote him a check. I mean, I did not trust this guy as far as I could throw him. Obviously, his name was Panama Jack, okay? And he was an excellent AC man, but I loathed him. I loathed dealing with him, and, I never referred him any business. The adequate guy, I actually would refer to friends, and I'd have to disclaim it. I'd be like, "Look, let's not have the guy replace the unit, but if you need something simple, he can do that." Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. You can be an average. This is controversial. You can be an average lawyer out there and be well liked and call people back, and you will be more successful than a jerk who's the best lawyer in the world. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe. I don't know. You're painting with broad strokes, and the internet lives
I can
forever.
tell
So
this
it's
makes you uncomfortable, and I'm not
very.
saying that you're average. I'm not saying that I'm average. I'm not even saying that any specific attorney is average. I'm just speaking generally, and if he makes you,
I don't know that I'm average or nice. These are the kinds of things that people will use against you. I had opposing counsel on a case we just picked up, who obviously looked up our firm as soon as we picked up the case, and he said, "Hey, there's some content out there with you. What's that? I saw you were talking about," and I forget what he brought up. Oh, you were talking about this. So look, we enjoy doing this. It's all fun. It's all entertainment. But as I expressed to you when we very first started doing this, these are the kinds of things that opposing counsel is going to look at, your clients are going to look at, and it's like talking to the cops. They don't actually want to help prove your innocence. They want to prove your guilt. So everything you say can and will be used against you. They're not going to use it for you. Oh, well, he said he didn't do it. They're going to say, well, he said this, and it was a little inconsistent with what he said earlier. Stuff like that. The more content we put out there, the more I
the
work.
cure is worse than the disease, right? The cure is you don't say anything at all. You don't take a position at anything, and no one can ever hold it against you, and that means you don't get very much business in today's economy, right? It's this it's
Everybody has their thing now. No one's going to accuse me of having a bubbly personality, but some people do, some people don't. You can't manufacture it. You're either that way or you're not. Try to be good to your clients, try to do great work. You're right. What you can control is the attitude and the effort you bring to work. So if you have a good attitude and you don't think, oh my God, these clients are just annoying the hell out of me. Instead, you say, I'm lucky I have clients. It allows me to have food on my table and clothes on my back. So I like having clients. I'm going to try to be nice to my clients as much as I can. If they like me, great. If they don't like me, or if they annoy me, I'm still going to try to do the best I can.
There you go, Pollyanna. So, yes, be nice, get your clients to like you. It's important.
Is there a third one?
Here's the third one. I don't know how anybody could ever disagree. Well, no one would ever disagree with the first. Well, the first one, well, that's true. They would say, I just don't have enough time to call everyone back. The second one is, okay, well, my excellent work carries the day. I don't care if my clients like me. There's lots of examples of that in sports, right? I mean, you can be, and it's true in business. You can have the worst personality in the world and, be mean to everyone and no one like you. That only works if you're producing so much money that it just doesn't matter. And then when that day stops, you're going to get the stick, right? Or the sword, or those who live by the sword, die by the sword. And this third one that I don't think anyone could disagree with this. Always be humble, even when you're right. Okay. With everyone, especially judges, especially opposing counsel and your clients. You can be really good. You can be right 99% of the time, but you will eventually be wrong and you will need mercy. Okay. At that time. And if you've been arrogant in everything, that you've done 99% of the time, and you're just the guy who's like, Judge, opposing counsel is sadly mistaken because, he clearly did not do diligent research. And that case does not stand for what he says it for. Here it is, Judge. If just saying that in a different way, of Your Honor, I think opposing counsel, might be mistaken. Here's I think you'll appreciate this case here, and you'll see that this is the correct interpretation of it, right. That's a better way of saying that with humility. Um,
I say the first one.
it's better to be humble because you're going to be wrong one day, and you're going to miss a deadline one day, right? You're going to miss that response deadline or something. And you're going to have to call up opposing counsel and be, look, hey, I missed this one. I'm going to file for leave, and please let me, would you mind agreeing to, or moving the hearing? I'll reschedule it. And you just are going to need a little bit of grace every now and then, or maybe it's a discovery deadline. And I think if you're opposing counsel, you can kind of take the position, and I'll never forget. And it's a guy that we played golf with. I'm not going to mention his name, but very early in the case, very early in this must have been 15, 20 years ago, one of our attorneys, had some hearing. I think you know what I'm talking about. And I can't remember the substance of the hearing, but it was back in the days of fax, and we just did not get the facts, the FAX, right? They're not FACTS. We get those FACTS. We did not get the facsimile. And it was his summary judgment motion. We just didn't get it. I mean, it's the days of fax, right? And we go before the hearing, we called him and we're like, hey, we just didn't get your facts. Would you mind just, kind of moving the hearing so we could have time to respond and all that? And his response was, well, let's see. I'm not going to do that right now. Let's see what the judge thinks. And we were like, we go in there and we're like, Judge, we just didn't get the facts. And, we tried to ask opposing counsel to just, allow us to respond and move it. And the judge said, yeah, that happens sometimes. No problem. And it made him look like a jerk. So he lost credibility in front of the judge. And so that my point on this is just be humble sometimes, give a little grace, because it's going to happen. There's going to be a day when you need grace, right? So
Well, and I think it's in the lawyer's creed or whatever that said, I will give reasonable extensions when so the expectation is that you're going to do that. And I'm racking my brain right now. I had one recently where one of the attorneys asked me, and I really can't remember what it was. It wasn't discovery because we're so early in the case. And he said, he's asking me if he can do this, and I really don't want to grant it. And I said, hey, you don't have to, but you better be right every time for the rest of this case, because if you need grace, you're not going to get it. So just make sure that this issue that you're standing on is worth it. And have questions about whether it was worth it. Everybody's got to run the cases. They choose to run their cases the way they choose to run their cases. But yeah, I'm with you, because I have had some of the most knockdown, drag out fights with guys that I really didn't like. Nasty email exchanges, nasty phone exchanges every time we talked. But when one of us would ask, like, hey, can I have an extra week? Or, hey, can you move your hearing? We would do it, because, as much as you want to fight in battle, we got to maintain some level of civility, and we got to be able to say, hey, look, okay, that's fine. I might not like you and we might be fighting, but to me, that's just a line that, we can still be civil and keep our humanity about us.
Judges want, and attorneys do too, I think, they want the right result based on the facts as it applies to the law. They don't want the deadlines to pour the client out. That's generally. All right. So that brings us to our second topic, and it's kind of a lead in: reviews, online reviews, more important than ever, now that we've got AI. It's one of the last human components we have. I just always like to talk about reviews. It's a passion of mine. This came up in the legal lawyers chat because we got some great reviews. So everyone was talking about them. Shout out to one of our attorneys, Amin, who got 2 or 3 just phenomenal reviews here. And before we get into those, I mean, online reviews suck. I mean, people, clients, customers, whether you own a restaurant or whether you own another type of small business, they only want to leave reviews if they're negative reviews because they're motivated by a negative experience. If you want good reviews, you have to beg customers to get negative reviews. I mean, sorry, to get good reviews. They'll gladly leave a negative review. And the worst thing now, and this hasn't been around that long, is fake reviews. Chris, we get fake reviews, and they're fake bad reviews, like a 1-star review, and then they'll get a follow up by this company that says, "Hey, you got a 1-star review. You can pay us to have that removed." And they left the review. So it's like review extortion. Okay.
That's like the old school, auto mechanic shop that digs a hole out or, damages the street and there's a big pothole. So you hit the pothole and then you need to replace your tire or something. And they say, "Oh, well, we can help you out." Or the people who used to, the old school mobsters that throw rocks through the glass windows and then say, "Oh, well, hey, I happen to have an uncle who owns the glass company in town."
That's exactly what that is. And fake reviews are terrible, and Google's algorithms are not doing enough. That's what's going on with that. So, and if you're an honest business owner, it's not a level playing field. There are many people out there that are paying for reviews, generating fake good reviews. So this is a really hard thing. All of our reviews are legitimate. We don't pay for them. We beg people for them. We do that. This one, shout out to Amin, who got some really good reviews here. One of them was that top service, 10 stars. Thank you for winning my case. Anytime you get a win, it's a big deal. And Amin is a super nice guy, and he won. So the client's happy about it. This review was kind of funny. I did not, it was a 5-star review. I don't love it from a branding standpoint. I guess it was some demand letter we wrote. Made $9,000 off a foot injury, and I'm only 19. I'd say I won. All love. So I don't know whose case that was.
I didn't know we did foot injuries either.
I have no idea. Maybe some guy went to a podiatrist. Maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe some guy hired some movers, and the movers dropped something on his foot. I don't know. And we sent a demand letter, and the guy got $9,000, and he's 19 years old. Chris, you can only imagine what that 19-year-old is doing with that $9,000 already spent.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I mean, I guess, and they meant well. They want to make it look like, hey, we grab money, like we're, and I don't want to disparage personal injury attorneys, but personal injury attorneys sue people, try to collect from insurance companies. That's just not really what we do. So we don't have commercials like that are like, "I'll get you $200,000. It's just not our business.
No, it's off brand. No. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's not even, maybe the guy got confused. Maybe he was trying to.
He might. I think I did see one that was like, it didn't seem like it fit. I don't remember if it was a review or something else, but I thought I saw something come in that I was like, "Oh no, it quoted or it named the wrong law firm." So like it was clear it wasn't us. Like, and I don't know if you responded to it. Like, I think you did respond to it like, "Hey, this isn't us, but thanks. Thank you." Like you named the Smith law firm, we're the Silverman law firm, but thanks for the word.
Google's algorithm should strip that one out. I would think probably flag it or whatever, and it would get to the right place. But who knows whether we do thousands of cases a year, so who knows whether the 9K is ours or not. I did throw it in the chat room and kind of laughed. I was like, "Does anyone want to claim this?" The foot guy. So who did this? So, yeah, reviews are important. So I always like to mention those. It's a tough thing owning a business and trying to get good reviews. All right. Final topic of the day, other advice for high school kids aspiring to be business professional. This is just kind of my passion. And this comes up because I see so many of our young people and I play a lot of tennis and some golf. So many of our young people are on the high school tennis team or the golf team, and they're just working so hard, and they're good, right? And they can, I'm actually a decent tennis player, and so then they can beat me. And, but the kid's like 5'6", right? And 160 pounds or 30 pounds, something like that. And at some point, and they're spending so much 3, 4, 5 hours a day in tennis and all that. And I always like to ask them. I'm like, hey, so what are your goals? What are you doing? And I want to play college tennis. I'm play college golf or whatever. I sometimes, depending on the mood I am, maybe I'm a dream killer. I'll be blunt. I'm like, look, you're not going to be a professional tennis player. You're not going to be a professional golfer. It's statistically improbable that you even go D1 in any of those sports, but you're really good. Here's my advice to you. Keep doing it because you love it and get really good at it. And then get into business, get into law, get into something and join a country club and or use it in some context at the like Chris, we sponsor, a tennis tournament and we do charity events and all. The boss, the senior guys will ask you to play if you are good at golf or tennis because they will want to win. They will want somebody and they will want the advice on the golf course. They'll want the advice on the tennis court. And if you're a likable guy, this goes back to being average. You can be an average investment banker or an average analyst if those jobs even exist in 10 years of that. But if you're good at tennis or good at golf, you can go a long way. That's my big advice for high school kids. Chris, does that sound terrible?
No, no, not at all. I guess my line of thinking, I agree with you, and I'm actually surprised. I thought you were kind of in the other camp, the guys that think their kid's going to go D1 and everything, and every dad's trying to live vicariously through their kid, or maybe that's the exception. Maybe you're like, no, 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 my kid is going to D1. My kid is the exception.
Well, I mean, it's so hard to go. The college sports have been ruined because we're totally off the rails, but the transfer portal on some of these sports, my oldest son's a pretty good athlete, and it became very clear that whatever chance he had was decimated by transfer portals because the coaches would no longer look. This was baseball, and the coaches would no longer look at a high school kid. They're going to take a JUCO kid who was with statistical reps at that level instead of a high school kid. So I think I actually think the best chance for someone like him is lacrosse. So you go from football to baseball if you're a big kid and you're fast and you're halfway smart. I think you get a lacrosse scholarship. Okay, but we digress.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I'm with you at it. Like you say, dream killer. I don't want to kill anyone's dream. And so, to what end do we need to tell these kids you're not going to go pro? I mean, you need to tell them so that they have a backup plan. Although every, multi-billionaire will tell you, no, you don't have backup plans. You give your heart and soul to one thing. You eat, sleep, and breathe it. If you don't do that, you're just not going to be successful. I don't know that that's true. You don't need to kill their dreams, but people do need to know you're not going pro. If you want a scholarship, you need to get an academic scholarship. I have Googled this every year just to make sure I'm not giving my own kids bad advice. It's just not even close. There are so many more academic scholarships out there. It's so much easier to get academic scholarships than it is to get athletic scholarships. Do it if you want to do it. You're 100% right. I mean, that's the funny thing. I'm neither nice nor a good golf or tennis player, so I'm in trouble. But yes, be nice, be a great golf and tennis player, practice, have a good time, network. I mean, that's how business deals get done on tennis courts and golf courses. It's a great place for business to get done. So you should absolutely care about that. And, if you're a D1 football player, great. Go work at your accounting firm and you say, yeah, I played on the LSU team. I played at Ole Miss, wherever. It's going to be great stories, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and when anyone says I'm going to go pro, no.
The parents, these tennis parents. I mean, the kids you can put $100,000 of tennis lessons in them, but at the end of the day, they still have to get to the ball, and it's like the kid run. I don't know. I don't even know what they time kids for sports are. When we were kids, it used to be like the 40-yard dash or whatever, but. It's like, the kid runs like a 5 flat in the 40 or something. Right. And it's like, you can't run a 5 flat 40 and, be be a tennis player in today's day and age, or play any sport for that matter. So, just maybe baseball, I guess. I don't know, but again,
I don't know the numbers, but that doesn't sound like.
no, I think you have to be in the in the fours or something like that. I think to be any whatever fast is. All right, if your kid's not fast, it's not gonna it's not gonna work. So
I'm worried now. This is probably the most controversial part. I'm going to get a lot of hate from everybody who's going to tell me their kid's going to go D1.
well, you and I live in the kind of the same area, and your kids, I think, may be going through the phase where they might play some sports, right, in the local sports association. And I coached for a lot of years in that. And I remember at one point, the commissioner and the leadership, we had to kind of get together and basically call a meeting and say, look, it was basketball. And I don't know if I was in charge of saying it or I just said it to my team, but I had to say, look, these kids most of them were zoned to Memorial High School and Stratford High School. And I said, we've got 500 kids participating this year in the youth basketball program or some number. There are 24 spots on the varsity Memorial High School basketball team and the Stratford basketball team. So the odds, I think of in this entire sports association, we've had, it's like less than 1%. It may have been point something percent of kids that have even made the varsity basketball team. And these schools I think Stratford's really good at basketball. Memorial, I believe, is terrible at basketball. But probably get some hate mail on that. So advice, use the sports, for the connections, do it because you love it. And tennis, golf is the way to go. I think we've covered everything.
And enjoy the hell out of high school. Like, don't worry about that. High school is high school. Enjoy the hell out of it. Get good grades, compete in whatever sport you're good at. Enjoy the heck out of high school because, then you get to enter the working world and you get to work for the rest of your life, which is great, but enjoy youth while you have it too.
Yeah. Don't enjoy it too much. Okay. Here we go. That brings our show to a close. I've been your host, Phil Silverman. Chris Hill has been my co-host today. Like us, follow us, review us wherever you get your podcasts. And as a reminder, nothing in this show is to be considered legal advice, and this has all been for entertainment purposes only. If you have a legal question or a life question, email us at info@silblawfirm.com and tell us you want it publicly answered in the podcast. Everybody have a great rest of your day.